So, word of mouth is a very powerful thing. Word of mouth can save, make, or break a movie. A movie is terrible, like for example, Dark Phoenix. Word of mouth can help they'll help destroy the movie at the box office. Or a movie called Forza Shanghai in China. But there is one movie that has basically benefited from the word of mouth. Spider-Man, there's actually two movies, but the other movie, well, we'll be talking about Spider-Verse first. Word of mouth can be very helpful for a movie, okay? Especially for a movie that was destined to flop like this movie. Spider-Verse had the worst, is still the worst grossing Spider-Man movie by gross. Let's look at the list of Spider-Man movies there is. Series Spider-Man movies. It is 8th place in the domestic one, made less money than The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it still made, or didn't make even, and made less money than The Amazing Spider-Man 2 worldwide. But the movie could have made worse. That's the thing. The movie could have made way worse, way less money than The Amazing Spider-Man, no, than it did. The original box office projections were around 100,000, 100 million, and around 50 to 60 million, and the same internationally, which would have still made it evade being a flop, but would have not been pursued to gain a sequel. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, through word of mouth, ballooned it into a massive hit domestically. When you look at the top movies of 2018, okay, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is 15. It is ahead of movies that it was made more money than Fantastic Beasts, Halloween, Ready Player One, Bumblebee, The Nun, which was a terrible movie, but The Equalizer 2, The Mule, Peter Rabbit, basically all of these movies. And it even made more money than Hotel Transylvania 3, which is a much bigger franchise than Spider-Verse, which is a new series, technically. And it actually had a similar opening to Dark Phoenix, which Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse is basically how word of mouth can save a movie. Nobody really knew how great this movie was going to be. I still haven't seen it, but 90% of people think this is probably the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Except for those people who still think Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie, and then there's those 5% who think that Far From Home or Homecoming are the best Spider-Man movies ever made. Yes, there are people who still think Spider-Man 2 is the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made. Or around 40% because not many people really went to go see this movie in theaters. But around 50. But if you look at the greatest Spider-Man movies, and also that doesn't help that Spider-Man has also a franchise fatigue. If you look at the greatest Spider-Man movies, Spider-Verse always ranks as number one or at least number two or number three. If you have seen all the Spider-Man movies, which some of us have not. But let's look at the word of mouth of the movie. The movie opened with 45 million and then dropped 50%, but then the word of mouth started coming around and the movie made $190 million at the box office. And also it did help that it came around the holidays, which when a movie comes out in the holidays, it usually does well. And that's how they saved Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse from being a flop. But then you look at another movie where word of mouth basically hurt the movie. Let's look at a little movie called Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is considered to be the worst X-Men movie ever made. No contest. Yes, even worse than X-Men Origins Wolverine. This is how low Dark Phoenix was. It made less money than a movie about the Beatles. About Beatles music. If Beatles music didn't exist. That's how poorly Dark Phoenix made. It made less money than Annabelle Comes Home. But Dark Phoenix, let's look at Dark Phoenix is a movie that opens similarly to Spider-Verse. And it just went away. Word of mouth hurt this movie. Okay, this movie was hurt by negative word of mouth. People were probably telling people, do not see Dark Phoenix at all costs because it's a terrible movie. And people went to go see Endgame instead and Aladdin, which people, because it has Disney's logo on it. But then we have one movie, but then we have to go to the DVD sales for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If you look at the Spider-Verse DVDs, ever since Spider-Verse has come out, every start this year had Spider-Man in the top Blu-rays of the week. If you look at the weekly Blu-ray sales, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is always on the list. Always. It didn't make out on DVDs, but on Blu-rays, it has always made the list. Because word of mouth did save this movie from being a disaster. And now a lot of people want to go see it, especially people who didn't get the chance to see it in the theaters. Now Spider-Man the Spider-Verse has sold 1.3 million Blu-rays as of this year. And it'll probably sell a lot on Black Friday, because a lot of people will probably be looking for this movie on Black Friday. Another movie that word of mouth has saved is Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim is another movie that has been saved by essentially the word of mouth. Pacific Rim was considered to be was going to be a box office failure. Let's look at this gross right here, 411 million. But then you look at how well it did on the Blu-ray and DVD market. It made a lot of money there. A lot of money. And a lot of people went out to go see it, and word of mouth essentially saved Pacific Rim from becoming a flop. But there was one more movie that can be saved by the word of mouth. That can be saved by becoming. There was one more movie that was destined to be a massive flop that was saved by the word of mouth. That also came out in the same year as Dark Phoenix and still made more money than Dark Phoenix. Oh yes, Alita. Of course, we gotta mention this movie. This movie was supposed to be a major box office disaster. It made 2 times the amount of money it was supposed to make worldwide, actually. Alita was supposed to make $200 million at the box office, which is the reason why I was saying the movie was to become a $200 million flop, but because because the movie was that great, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and everybody was saying you must see this movie, the movie made $404 million instead of what it was supposed to make. So every way you look at it, both Alita and Spider-Verse, two movies that were written off as that were going to become big flops, still both managed to outperform everybody's expectations, and with Spider-Verse, it did really well. But then you can see what word of mouth did to other movies like Dark Phoenix, basically making the movie a big, massive disaster. And Alita actually made way more money than Dark Phoenix, which is the movie that Fox is actually banking on to make money. Because, X-Men Apocalypse was also terrible as well, but we don't want to mention that. But it's just every way you look at it. Alita was supposed to be a flop, and it didn't flop. It made way more money than expected. This is it. This is Alita's actual budget. Don't believe the Disney budget they put out there. That was the actual budget, but the tax breaks made the budget $170 million. And now they're saying that New Zealand made the budget now $150 million. But it's just every way you look at this movie. The movie made and Fox said the movie needed $350 million to start break even and start making money. So yes, this movie is not a flop. Same thing with the other movies, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The movie was written off as gonna be a flop because it's a kids movie. Oh, it's an animated movie. No one's gonna go out to see an animated Spider-Man movie, and it made $75 million. If the movie was written off, it was gonna probably barely break even at the very most, and it wasn't gonna sell well at all and be crushed by Aquaman and Mary Poppins. But the movie still managed to break through and still managed to gross $375 million when they were writing off Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as a massive flop. But here's another movie also another movie that was kind of saved was Bumblebee. But China really kind of saved that movie with their obsession with Transformers movies. That's probably what really saved Bumblebee from being a box office disaster.